Pope Francis, in keeping with his emphasis on serving the poor, has designated this weekend as World Day of the Poor, which Francis initiated last year to focus on poverty that exists in so much around the world. There is a lack of food, shelter, and clothing suffered by many people right here in our own region as well as around the world. And the root causes of that situation are sadly deeply embedded in our society. In the Gospels that we've heard these past few weekends, we have seen examples of how Jesus has seen the disadvantaged around him, despite having large crowds around him. He is able to see them, even when a large throng of people are pressing upon him. That tells us that Jesus makes it a priority to see them and to react to them, those who are on the margins of biblical society. For example, if you remember, he sees Bartimaeus, the blind man, who is lost in the throng of people around him, and he reaches out to heal him. We heard all about that on October 28th. He saw the poor widow in the crowd at the temple and looked into her heart to see her compassion and her willingness to share. We heard that just last weekend, for she too lived on the margins, yet Jesus spotted her in the crowded temple. This week in the gospel, we hear a number of themes, one of which is the need to be vigilant in our lives. But being vigilant is not just for the end times, but also a call to be vigilant and on the lookout for those who are so desperately impoverished. For oftentimes, we just don't see them, even when they're in our midst. On this World Day of the Poor, celebrated in the Catholic faith around the world, we take up a collection for the Catholic Campaign for Human Development as a response to the great need among us. The Catholic Campaign for Human Development is the domestic anti-poverty program of our Catholic American Church. For over 45 years, it has addressed the problem of poverty by attacking its root causes. Since its beginning, the Catholic Campaign for Human Development has made nearly 8,000 grants to various projects created and managed by people themselves with low incomes. These projects aim to improve lifestyles and promote financial stability through fair housing, education, accessible health care, and vocational training. CCHD focuses these initiatives at the lowest possible level so that they are most effective for those in need. I remember once when I was in Ghana in West Africa many years ago, the thrust of the support programs from Catholic Relief Services was to train people in poverty to develop their own initiatives, to grow individual economic initiatives and skills, and to help organize people at the local level. That's embracing the principle of subsidiarity, which embraces the concept that problems are best resolved at the lowest possible level. So the Catholic Campaign for Human Development seeks to do just that. After all, those who are directly affected by unjust systems and unjust structures have the best insights into knowing how to change them for the better. CCHD works to break the cycle of poverty by helping low-income people participate in decisions that affect their lives and their communities. Simply put, CCHD offers a hand up and not a handout. This kind of support to the needy in our communities and beyond works to bring a longer-lasting response to poverty. I think we are all aware of the hurt and distrust surrounding the Catholic Church at this moment, but we can be proud of our efforts as Catholics in social justice initiatives. Through initiatives of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, along with Catholic Charities and Catholic Relief Services, we Catholics are on the front lines in society combating economic injustice and poverty. And yes, that is something we can be very proud of. There is a special collection this weekend for the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. please consider supporting this initiative. 75% of the collection goes to national projects that address the root causes of poverty, and the other 25% of the collection stays right here in our diocese to help those who live on the margins. In addition to the funding that remains here in the diocese, we annually receive funding from the national organization that actually is double the amount we collect. The Gospels during this fall season have emphasized our care and our need to care for the poor. God hears the cries of the poor, and the Gospels have reminded us that Jesus not only hears them, but sees them and reacts to them. We are called on to do the same, for as disciples, we all walk in the footsteps of Jesus. This week's Gospel encourages a spirit of vigilance that includes being vigilant towards the poor and the conditions that support and maintain poverty. We are not simply called on just to stand on the sidelines passively. For as Jesus reacts to what he sees, so should we. And one way to do that is to support the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.